What's up YouTube, your boy Swaggertron here, bringing you guys another deck profile, and this time is going to be on Shaddoll Agents. Before we get into it, I just want to say that I didn't come up with this deck. I saw this deck from a YouTuber called Ludness Backers. I had to put his name up here because I can't remember it for the life of me. Um, he did a showcase montage kind of thing on this deck, and once I saw it, I just said I had to try it out. So I played around with it and made some changes. So yeah, here we are now. I'm gonna leave a link to the channel in the description or somewhere annotated on the screen. So make sure to check it out. If you enjoy my videos, you are gonna love his stuff. Trust me. Alright, so let's get into this deck profile. Since this is a Shaddoll agent, so it's not pure Shaddoll, it's like a hybrid kind of thing. So the ratios for the monsters will be different as opposed to a regular Shaddoll build. Alright, so let's start with Shaddoll lineup. We run 2 Shaddoll Lizards. When this card is flip face up, you can target one monster on the field, destroy that target. Mainly I use him for that effect. And then his second effect is that if he sends to the graveyard by a card effect, you could send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. And keep in mind, guys, that all Shaddoll monsters had this clause. You can only use the effect of this Shaddoll monster only once that turn. So if you use his flip effect, you will not get his sent to the graveyard effect. Keep that in mind. That applies to all the Shaddoll monsters. So yeah, again, I only use Shaddoll Lizard for his flip effect, honestly. Rarely I will ever use his secondary effect to send a card from my deck to the grave. Okay, next up we have 2 Shaddoll Lizards. When this card is flip face up, you can target one card your opponent controls and return that target to the hand. Really good to get over XYZs like Thogran, Bounty Boxer, Yoke, and stuff like that. And his second effect is if he's sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can destroy one spell or trap on the field. Pretty much becomes an MST. Overall, Dragon is a solid card. I really don't know why in the OCG they don't really like this guy. They only run like one of him. I really don't know why, because he's really fucking good in my opinion. Next up, we run triple Shaddoll Hedgehog. When this card is flip face up, you can add one Shaddoll spell or trap from your deck to your hand. Literally, the only reason why I play Shaddoll Hedgehog is for that flip effect. Because there are a lot of times, I cannot express how often it is sometimes hard to get Shaddoll Fusion to your hand with this deck. So that's why I decided to max out on Shaddoll Hedgehog, just to get Shaddoll Fusion to my hand. His second effect is if he sends to the graveyard, you can pretty much add a Shaddoll monster from your deck to your hand. I really don't care about that effect. Most of the time I honestly only use that effect if I need to add something like Beast or Falcon to my hand just to use for material for Shaddoll Fusion if I happen to have Shaddoll Fusion in my hand already. Next up we have 1 Shaddoll Beast. When this card is flip face up, you can draw 2 cards, then discard 1. Pretty much like a Lure of Darkness. Instead of having to banish 1, you discard 1. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you draw 1 card. I like this card, but I only run it as a 1-up because it's level 5, so it's a bitch to draw it and not have Shaddoll Fusion at the same time, because it just sits in your hand dead, and I really don't like that. So if you're running a pure Shaddoll build, then I suggest you run like 2 of these or 3 of these if you wish, but for a hybrid build, I think 1 is fine. Lastly, we have 2 Shaddoll Falcons. If this card is okay, his flip effect is if you can target 1 Shaddoll monster in your graveyard, except for Shaddoll Falcon, especially some that target face down defense position. You can use that to bring back any of your Shaddoll monsters that fits the situation to get their flip effects. Or you can even bring back your Shaddoll Fusion monsters, since Falcon can bring back these guys as well. And his second effect is if he's sent to the graveyard, you basically special summon himself in face down defense position. So Falcon is a really good card, and in case you guys didn't notice, if you guys are new to the Shaddoll monster archetype, this motherfucker's a tuner, so you can do a lot of cool synchro plays with this guy. Alright, that's the Shaddoll lineup, so we're gonna move on to the agent lineup. Triple Mystic Shine Ball. Pretty standard monsters to run in an agent hybrid kind of deck. Honestly, I'm gonna tell you right now, it's a pain in the ass to draw one of these guys. But if you have Shaddoll Fusion, it's not that bad. But if you draw 2 of these things, just leave the duel, because odds are you're gonna have really bad luck that game. Um, Next, Agent of Creation Venus, pretty much used to summon out your shine balls. Pretty much that's her only purpose. And then we run 2 Agent of Mystery Earth, pretty much straddles to search out your agent monsters. I'm only running 2 of her just because we only run Venus for agent monsters. And also, this thing is a tuner, so you can also do some cool single plays as well with this guy. I mean, check. And lastly, for the agent aspect, we have 2 Master Hyperions. Pretty much, you special summon this guy by banishing an agent monster from your graveyard or hand or field. Most of the time, you do it from the graveyard. And then he could, then his other effect is he could banish 1 fairy monster from your graveyard to destroy 1 card on your opponent's side of the field. Basically, you guys don't know agents. You use Venus to summon out your shine balls, and then once your shine balls go to the graveyard, you pretty much fuel up for your Hyperion plays to blow shit up. That's pretty much agents in a nutshell. And to finish up the monster lineup, we have 1 BLS because we run a shit ton of Lights and Darks, so why not? Now for the spells, we run 1 Book of Moon. I'll always say this, if you run a deck that has flip effect monsters, Book of Moon is a staple. And we have half of the deck is flip effect monsters. So Book of Moon, really good card. Foolish Burial, just use it to trigger your Shaddoll secondary effects. Just send to the graveyard, and you can also do some cool plays with Foolish Burial. Like, if you have Hyperion in hand but no ways to summon it, you can send like a Venus or Earth to the graveyard and just banish it just to summon out your Hyperion. So Foolish Burial, pretty cool. And then next up we have Shaddoll Fusion. I'm gonna read out real quick in case some of you guys are new to Shaddoll monsters and their stuff. You only can activate 1 Shaddoll Fusion per turn. Really sucks that you can't activate more, but quote unquote you have to balance the game. Fusion summon 1 Shaddoll monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or your side of the field as fusion materials. Now here's what makes this card really good. If your opponent controls a monster that was special summoned from the extra deck, you can also use monsters from your main deck as fusion materials. So you can send things like your Venus or your Shaddoll monsters like Beast or whatever you wish from your deck to the graveyard just to trigger out their effects and get out a fusion monster. So Shaddoll Fusion, really good card. And lastly, we have 2 Forbidden Lands, just because to help deal with traps. And thanks to the ban list, we have triple D Prison, so I'm pretty sure a lot of people might run that in like trap heavy decks like Yurgia or Trap Trick. So Forbidden Lands is gonna be a really good card to start running now if you guys haven't been running that already. Now for the traps, we have 2 Call of the Haunted. I pretty much like to use this card to bring back Nephilim, because Nephilim gets her effect to send 1 Shaddoll monster, 1 Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. And you could get that effect when she special summons. It doesn't matter how she special summons, either by Shaddoll Fusion or by Call of the Haunted, she'll still get her effect. So I think Call of the Haunted is really good in that aspect. And then you also do something cool, like you can activate Shaddoll Fusion if your opponent has an extra deck monster like 1/1 on the field, and you can send any Shaddoll monster from your deck to grave, and you can send Hyperion, and then you can get out your Nephilim, and then at that point you can activate Call of the Haunted to special summon your Hyperion and just go apeshit on them. It's pretty cool. Also, another thing with Call of the Haunted is that it has the same theory that makes it good like it did in Fire Kings. If your opponent blinds MST and they hit a Call of the Haunted, you can chain Call of the Haunted and bring back something like Beast or Dragon. And then once Call of the Haunted resolves, MST will then resolve, and the MST will destroy that Call of the Haunted, sending your Dragon or Beast to the graveyard, and then the effects will trigger, which will allow you to either draw a card if it was Beast or blow up a spell trap if it's Dragon. You can do that with any of the Shaddoll monsters, so that's why I like Call of the Haunted a lot in this deck. So I really recommend if you try this thing out. Next we have Shaddoll Roots. Another Shaddoll theme card. It's a trap monster. It's a spellcaster, dark, level 9, has 1450 attack, 1950 defense. If this card is special summoned this way, you can substitute this card for any attribute fusion material monster listed on Shaddoll Fusion monster, so basically become light or dark. And if this card is sent to the graveyard by a card effect, you can target 1 Shaddoll spell trap in your graveyard. Except for Roots, add that target to your hand. Main combo I like to do with this thing, is Fusion Summon Nephilim, and then use Nephilim's effect to send Shaddoll Roots to the graveyard, and then Roots' effect will trigger, and then you get to add back that Shaddoll Fusion that you used to summon Nephilim, just to set up for another fusion play next turn. So that's the main reason why I like Shaddoll Roots. And also, since it's a monster and its attack is somewhat decent, it kind of helps with OTKing. So overall, pretty good card. I don't know if I'll run it past more than one, since this is a hybrid build, but you guys can play around with that and see how that works out. But I still recommend that you run at least one copy. Next up, we have Facing the Shadows. Send another themed Shaddoll card. Send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard, and then you could change any number of face down defense position Shaddoll monsters you control to face up defense position. This card is really cool because not only does it let you Foolish Burial one of your Shaddoll monsters to get their effects. Let's say you have Lizard or Dragon face down, and your opponent XCs into like 101 or I don't know, Cassiel or something. You could activate this card, flip your Shaddoll Lizard or Dragon, and then activate their effects to disrupt your opponent's plays and just fuck up their monsters or something. So it's really good in that aspect. That's why I run at 3. Again, the numbers you could play around with, but it's a really good card, and I recommend you run a couple copies though. At least 2. Lastly, we have 2 breakthrough skills because what's this card called? Dark Law fucks with this deck way too much. And then we have the big 4 in Solemn Warning, Torrential, Bottomless, and Compulse. Okay, moving on to the extra deck, we run triple L Shaddoll Nephilim, probably the best fusion monster in the Shaddoll archetype at this moment. I'm gonna read off his effect. You could pretty much make it with one Shaddoll monster and one light monster. So basically, any of these plus your agent aspect of the deck. Most of you use your Shine Balls. His effect is you could if this card is special summoned, you could send one Shaddoll card from your deck to the graveyard. Most of the time, that'll be Shaddoll Roots. And at the start of the damage step, if this card battles a special summon monster, destroy that monster. So it has a Catastrophe-like effect. So he's really good. The only thing that makes him better than Catastrophe is she has a 2800 body, so she could get over a lot of things in the game currently. And if this card is sent to the graveyard, you could target one spell trap in your one Shaddoll spell trap in your graveyard, add it to your hand. Most of the time, you use their effect to get back your Roots or your Shaddoll Fusion. I want to note that she gets her effect regardless of how she's sent to graveyard. It could be detached from an XYZ, so like if you use it to make Felgrand, you detach her from Felgrand, she'll get her effect. Or if you sync her up with her and something like Earth or Falcon to summon Leo, she'll get her effect. So it's really, really good. She also gets her effect if your opponent 101s it and you get over that 101 and she gets sent to the graveyard because of that, she'll also get her effect. So she's overall a really good monster. Then next up we have 2 El Shaddoll Midrash. That's Orica, by the way, in case you guys are wondering why the hell she looks like that. Can only be made with one Shaddoll monster and one Dark monster, so basically use 2 Shaddoll monsters. This card cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects. That alone is what makes this card really fucking good. And neither player can special summon more than once per turn while this card is face up on the field. If this card is sent to the graveyard, you can target one Shaddoll Spell Trap in your graveyard and add that target to your hand. Okay. So she has like a weird Ophionish kind of effect where she limits your opponent from special summoning, but instead of like having a set amount like level 5 or higher like Ophion, it's everything. You only get special summon once per turn. But the reason why I only run 2 copies is that I do a lot of special summoning with this deck because of the agent aspect. Like if she's on the field, you can forget about using your Venus because you're not, unless you have Venus set up already and did your whole Shine Ball stuff, your Venus is gonna be dead because of her, which is the reason why I don't like her too much in this deck. But she is necessary to help deal with decks like Cosmic Dragons and stuff, so she's really good for duels against those kind of decks. Now for the synchros, we have 1 Armades and 1 Catastor. It's really easy to make level 5s in this deck thanks to Venus, Hedgehog combined with any of your level 2 tuners. Then we have 1 Goya Guardian. Again, kind of easy to make with these guys right here with your tuners. And then next up we have one Black Road Dragon and one Moonlight Dragon. Oh yeah, I want to say real quick about Moonlight Dragon. He is really underrated. This thing is comes so clutch against rogue matches, against like scraps, agents, stuff like that. Hero Perfection, all those kind of decks. Moonlight Dragon just puts in so much work against those kind of decks. Those two right here are easy to make. You can make them using Venus, Shine Ball, and a tuner. So it's really easy. Next up we have one Mistworm. I have yet to make this thing, but in theory is really easy because all you need is let me see. You can use a level 4, a level 3. What's that? 4, 5, 6, 7, and then a level 2 tuner 9. Or you can also do. Let me see. You could do Venus. That's 3. These two. That's 4, 7. And then yes, you could do that in that aspect too. So you have a lot of different combinations to do with the levels to make Mistworm. So that's why I think I'll keep in the deck. And then one Leo, Keeper of the Sacred Trees, because the thing is so easy to drop because of Hyperion and Nephilim combined with the level 2 tuners. Okay, now for the XYZs, we run one Gachi and one Legasto Phoenix, just to make these using your Shine Balls, and then one Felgrand. I never make this thing, but there are times where you wish you had the Felgrand to help disrupt your opponent. You can make it using your Hyperion and your Nephilim. So yeah, you could take out, if you wish to make room for other things, you could probably take out Goyo Guardian, Mistworm, and Felgrand if you want to make room for other synchros, like maybe a level 8 or something. Or like another XYZ like 101, because you can make rank 4s occasionally with these two guys. Okay, for cards that you could consider Star Reader, because you could use the level 2 tuner combined with Roots. The only reason why I don't use Star Reader is because I barely ever use Shaddoll Roots as a monster on the field. Next up, you can use Arcelor Christia. Really good monster overall, prevents your opponent, prevents neither player from special summoning, and you special summon her by having 4 fairy type monsters in your graveyard. The reason why I don't run her is because I mostly never get the 4 fairies I need in the graveyard. I mostly always exceed that number, and most of the time I always dead draw her at times, so I just use her as Shaddoll fusion material. So I decided just to cut her from the deck. But again, if you guys want to try it out and see if it works better for you than with me, feel free to. One Cephalon, the Time Lord. It's pretty easy to stack your graveyard with monsters, so you could drop this guy like nothing. And his ability to special summon a level 8 or higher fairy type monster to give it 4,000 attack is really good, because you can bring back your Hyperion or Nephilim, because they're both fairies. So it's a really good card to try out. I haven't tested it out yet, but I might. And then next up we have Soul Charge. You could feel free to run this over Call of the Haunted or with Call of the Haunted. The reason why I don't run Soul Charge is because I pay enough life points as it is with Venus and with Venus and Solemn Warning. And then on top of that, I take a lot of hits with this deck, so my life points are kind of low in most duels, so that's why I don't like Soul Charge too much for this deck, but feel free to test it out on your own accord. And then one Super Poly, a card that I will most likely start running because there are a shit ton of light and dark decks on Death Pro, and Super Poly is just perfect for that. So I really highly suggest you test this card out, everything that I have down here. And then one Allure of Darkness, if you wish to use it, because you do run a shit ton of dark, so you could get some more draw power out of that, but I don't like it because all these guys are valuable to me, so I don't want to banish any of them. But again, you can test it out. And then one Dark Renewal. This is a new card that hit Dev Pro a couple days ago, so I'm gonna read it out loud in case when you guys know what it does. Oh yeah, I want to point out that this card was in the original Yu-Gi-Oh anime. It was a Yu-Gi card. When your opponent normal or special summons a monster, you can target one of those monsters at one spellcaster type monster you control. Send those 2 monsters to the graveyard and special summon one dark spellcaster type monster from your deck or hand. I mean, from your deck or graveyard. Okay, let's look at the Shaddolls real quick. Spellcaster, 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 Spellcaster. Yeah, Shaddolls with this card is really fucking good. In case that didn't register in your brain right there. But the reason why I don't want to run this card in this deck is because I feel like this card would be benefited more in a pure Shaddoll deck, considering that you have more spellcasters to make this card more live than a hybrid build like this one, where sometimes you might not have that spellcaster on the field and you just have a bunch of fairies, so it might there might be times where this card might be dead. So that's why I think this card should be run in a pure build than a hybrid build. So yeah, good things about this deck is that it could OTK out the wazoo really fucking quick. Like, you could go some of your Venus, go into your Shine Balls, then overlay into the Gust of Phoenix, and then use your Shaddoll Fusion to bring out Nephilim. And then right there, that's like 7,400 points of damage. All you need is like another monster on the field just to get the extra push in to OTK. So that's the main reason why I like this deck. And also, you could drop a lot of boss monsters. You have Hyperion, you have BLS, and you have Nephilim and Midrax, not to mention your other synchro monsters, which are all powerful boss monsters in their own right. But the downside to the deck is that since it's not a pure Shaddoll deck, there are times where the consistency is like, eh. You would just draw like weird hands, and you just have to grind it out so hard and try to get your combo pieces to your hand just to be able to do anything. But at that point, you sometimes just lose the duel because it just took you too long to set up. So there's like a high risk factor with this deck, but I would highly suggest just playing this deck for fun, if anything, because again, it's a really fun deck. So try it for that reason. But if you want a competitive deck, then I say go to pure Shaddolls. Hands down, is way better than this. Just only use this deck for fun. But yeah, guys, that's it for the deck profile. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Please leave a like and subscribe if you did, and I will see you guys on the next one. Peace.